As you are all aware, the National Breakfast is an annual event in the calendar of Parliament. It is an interdenominational prayer meeting sponsored by members of Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly. This year's National Prayer Breakfast is scheduled to be held on Wednesday, 7th June 2003, from 7 a.m. at the Safari Park Hotel in Nairobi, and the theme is Reconciliation with God and with Man. The event is coordinated by a National Organizing Committee, which has been working closely with the Kenya National Prayer Breakfast Coordination Team. The Organizing Committee is co-chaired by Senator Daniel Manzo, MP of the Senate, and Honorable Samuel Chepkonga, MP of the National Assembly. Honorable Senators, as you may recall, on Wednesday, 31st May 2023, the Senate passed a resolution to suspend the morning sitting on Wednesday, 7th June 2023. This was done with a view to allow senators an opportunity to attend the National Prayer Breakfast. Therefore, I urge all senators to prioritize and attend the event. Further details relating to the event will be issued through the office of the clerk. I thank you. Honorable Senators, you may walk in and take your seats. Stop the greeting, Senators, and take your seats. We have business to transact. Honorable Senators, as part of our duty as legislators, it is to continually seek to better the legislative process and also make a contribution to its development. In this respect, the Senate, through the Office of the Clerk, has developed two publications: the Compendium of Considered Rulings, Directives and Guidelines, issued by the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya during the 12th Parliament, and a handbook for legislators on plenary and committee of the whole proceedings. These two publications contribute to the repertoire of publications that document the Senate's practice, precedents, and procedure over the last decade or so. They also make an input in the continuous capacity development of legislators and parliamentary staff. Honorable Senators, the Compendium of Considered Rulings, as it is commonly referred, form part of the practices and traditions of the Senate, as it highlights the full text of the rulings as given by the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and other presiding officers, and serve as a point of reference for future speakers when faced with matters of similar nature. The compendium is also a reference point for rulings that may require review or further development. On the other hand, the handbook for legislators on plenary and committee of the whole proceedings offers practical insights on how to prosecute legislative business in the Senate within the framework of the standing orders. It highlights the proper order of business and gives tips on what, when, and how legislators may make their contribution in the Senate. Honorable Senators, the two publications are available in the Senate Journal's office, which is located on the ground floor of Parliament buildings, and it is the first room on the left in the hallway as you make your way to the chamber. It is my hope that you'll find the two publications useful in the discharge of your constitutional roles and responsibilities. I thank you. Honorable Senators, you may walk in and take your seats. Lastly, Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, visiting officers from the County Assembly of Bungoma. The officers who work in records management are in the Senate for a 5-day benchmarking visit with a counterpart in the Parliament of Kenya. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful engagement. I thank you. I will allow, I do not see the senator for Bungoma. I will therefore allow the majority whip to briefly say words of welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I first of all want to thank you for allowing me to welcome the young people from my part of the world, Bungoma. And as you all know, Bungoma is a very unique county. Visitors in this Senate, because Bungoma has had the opportunity to produce a speaker who was sitting exactly where Speaker Kingi is seated. Also, Bungoma has now produced the current speaker in the National Assembly. So we are people of a distinction, and we want to urge all the counties of Kenya to learn from us, Mr. Speaker. I hope you're all joining me in congratulating them and welcoming them. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, allow me to tell them, Muriomno, Mchendebrai, Mkalohango, where I live.
Senator Boni, you understand the rules of this House. We don't allow people to speak in tongues. And therefore, kindly proceed to withdraw the last part and speak in English so that not just the visitors, but your colleagues can be able to understand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so as to remain strictly within the standing orders, allow me to say, without withdrawing, if you allow me, that for the words that I spoke in Kiluya, I quote and unquote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, kindly proceed the Luya version and replace it with an English version.
Yes, the Luya version, Mr. Speaker, sir, was that you're most welcome, and when you go back, travel well, and may the God Almighty give you journey mercies.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Senator Mwaruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to read this petition to the Senate on unlawful deduction of female teachers' salaries by Kenya Women Teachers Association, KEWOTA. We, the undersigned, citizens of the Republic of Kenya, being representatives of female teachers from Taita Taveta County, employed by the Teacher Service Commission, TSC, wish to present this petition to the Senate on behalf of ourselves and also on behalf of 171 female teachers. We humbly draw the attention of the Senate to the following: that Teacher Service Commission has been colluding with Kenya Women Teachers Association, KEWOTA, to unlawfully deduct 200 shillings monthly subscription fees from over 171 female teachers' salaries without their consent since 2019. 2, that the teachers have never signed any agreements with KEWOTA to join the association or authorize it to make any monthly subscription deductions from their salaries. That by forcibly recruiting members to the association, KEWOTA contravened the Constitution, which contemplates that joining a union or any association must be voluntary. That TSC committed an economic crime by colluding with KEWOTA to deduct 200 shillings from female teachers every month who are not members of KEOTA. That the affected teachers have been writing to TSC by themselves and through their Kenya National Union of Teachers, KNUT, to stop the deductions without success. That in some instances, TSC stopped the deductions for a while, but were later effected again. That teachers have a right not to be economically exploited by his employer in collaboration with KEOTA. That the members have made every effort to resolve the matters raised in this petition, but have proved futile. That there is no case pending in a court of law, constitutional or any other legal body on the matters raised in this petition. Herefore, your humble petitioners pray that the Senate, through the relevant committee, 1, finds that TSC has unlawfully been deducting monthly membership subscription fees from the female teachers on behalf of KEOTA and recommends that A, the deductions be stopped forthwith. B, all the money deducted be refunded forthwith with accruing interest. 2, finds that TSC and KEOTA committed an economic crime and recommends that they be investigated by Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and Directorate of Criminal Investigations for possible prosecution. Finds that the membership of KEOTA is null and void for lack of free consent of the members to belong to it. Advise Kenya Women Teachers Association, KEOTA, to do a fresh membership recruitment drive, which is within the law. And 5, takes any other appropriate action it deems fit. And your petitioners will ever pray. Dated this 20th day of April 2023. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, due to the packed business of the day, I'm afraid I will not allow comments on this petition pursuant to Standing Order 237, and instead I will straight away proceed to commit the petition to the relevant committee for its consideration. In this case, I direct that the petition be committed to the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. In terms of Standing Order 238-2, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading this prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. Thank you. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to present a report on the petition. Yes, kindly, Senator Arnold.
Speaker, thank you, and I am guided by your direction on the matter of KEOTA and TSC. The Speaker, I just want to plead with you to find it okay, the Speaker, to just open a window. Even if just one member from that side and a member from this side, matters of education and teachers, and especially TSC, are very touchy issues. And they are affecting a section of an entire county where members have been drafted into a union without their consent. You can just reconsider, Mr. Speaker, if you will, and just open a window for a comment or two from honorable members. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm afraid, Senator Wambua, I may not be in a position to allow comments on this. Owing to the, if you look at the order paper, you'll agree with me that one of your bills has been with us since the day I was sworn in. Reason we have expended a lot of time on petitions and statements Today, we want to reach you. And the only way to reach you is to make sure that we do not allow comments. Instead, we commit this petition to the relevant committee. So in all fairness, I'm at pain looking at your bill appearing like a fixture in the order paper. And I think we need to make deliberate efforts to reach this business today. And that is the reason why we have restricted comments. Chairperson, Labour, kindly proceed.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me to table this report, petition by Mr. James Ruiru, Katonga, and residents of Lamu, Baringo, and Nairobi counties concerning Linda Soccer tapping into the Kenya shillings 302 billion football economy. I table.
Next order, clerk. Next order, clerk.
Order number 5, papers.
The majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of this Senate today, the 6th of June, the year of our Lord 2023. Being, Mr. Speaker, 1, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the Kericho municipality for the year ended 30th of June 2020. Reports of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th of June 2021 on the financial statements of the following: Kericho municipality, Tana River County Inuka Fund, Siaya County Emergency Fund, and Kakamega County Emergency Fund. 3, Mr. Speaker, reports of the Auditor General of the year ended 30th of June 2022 on the financial statements of the following: 1, Kericho municipality, Kericho County Assembly Members Car and Mortgage Scheme Fund, the Tana River County Inuka Fund, the Tana River County Inuka Fund, the Tana River County Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, the Siaya County Emergency Fund, the Kakamega County Agricultural Inputs Fund, the Receiver of Revenue Statements of the County Government of Busia, the Samburu County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, the Bungoma County Assembly Members Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, the Mantera Municipality, the Receiver of Revenue and Revenue Statements of the County Government of Kisumu, the Receiver of Revenue Statements of the County Government of Turkana, the Kibwesi Makindu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, the Receiver of Revenue for the County Government of Kisii, Gusii Water and Sanitation Company Limited, County Revenue for Fund for the County Government of Kwale, Receiver of Revenue for the County Government of Kwale, County Executive of Migori, Migori County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, Migori County Assembly, Receiver of Revenue for the County Government of Migori, Migori County Ward Development Fund, Migori County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Awendo Municipality, Taita Taveta County Executive Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Revolving Fund, Taita Taveta County Assembly Mortgage for Members Scheme Fund, Receiver of Revenue for the County Government of Taita Taveta, Taita Taveta County Emergency Fund, Taveno Water and Sewerage Company Limited, Taita Taveta Education Fund Board, and finally, but not least, Mr. Speaker, Taita Taveta County Datu Sawazisha Fund. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I lay the papers.
the Chairperson, Finance and Budget Committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following report on the table of the Senate today, the 6th of June, report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Prompt Payment Bill, 2022, Senate Bill number 8, 2022.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Now, these are statements pursuant to Standing Order 53. Again, the directive that I've given when the petition was read, in these statements, once you've read out your statement, it will be committed to the relevant committee. We are therefore not going to have any comments. The only statement that I will allow maybe 6 interventions, 3 from the government side and 3 from the opposition side, is the statement number 2, the one by Senator for Nandi County that touches on MCAs. So I will proceed to call Senator Kathuri Murungi to seek his statement.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I request for a statement on the alarmingly high transfer of teachers at KK Mukaramatu Primary School in Meru County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on the alarmingly high transfer of teachers at KK Mukaramatu Primary School in Karama Ward, Tiganis constituency, and other schools in Meru County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the reasons for high number of transfers sought by teachers in schools in Meru County, particularly at KK Mukaramatu Primary School in Karama Ward in Tigani East constituency. And 2, state plans, if any, by the government to deploy teachers to address the shortage in the affected schools. And number 3, explain the rationale for denying teachers in Meru County and shape allowance, noting that their counterparts in the neighboring county of Isiolo receive the allowance, further clarifying whether the government intends to introduce the allowance for teachers in the county. Thank you.
Senator Chirangai, proceed to request your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the slashing, on the slashing of salaries and allowances for the members of county assemblies (MCAs) in the financial year 2022-2023. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should state reasons. As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, the reasons for the reduction of members of county assembly salaries, Mr. Speaker, the removal, as you are aware, Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of the committee or the House, the President earns 1.4 million, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy earns 1.2, Speaker of the Senate and National Assembly earns 1.16, Deputy Speakers earn 928,000, Governors earn 924,000, Deputy Governors earn 250,000, Senators and members of National Assembly earn 710,000. Mr. Speaker, county executive CECs earn 404,250 shillings, the lowest paid being the MCS who earn 86,625. Mr. Speaker, the removal of the sitting allowances, car grants and mileage allowance since 2022 to date. So Speaker, number 2, state whether there is an engagement between the County Assemblies Forum and Salaries and Remuneration Commission with a view to reinstate salary terms and allowances for all members of county assemblies in the financial year of 2023-2024. Mr. Speaker, number 3, state the amount of public funds allocated to the office of the MCAs for the remuneration of their staff in 2022-2023, the financial year that is coming to an end. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, with your indulgence, disclose the budget allocation for capacity building initiatives undertaken by county governments for staff in the office, by the county governments or county assemblies for staff in the office of the member of county assembly or the MCAs in the last 3 years, stating measures, if any, to ensure continuous capacity building of staff in the office of the member of county assemblies or MCAs across the country from financial year 2023-2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the indulgence.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to comment on the statement brought by the Senator of Nandi on the welfare of members of the county assemblies in this republic. Mr. Speaker, maybe just 2 things. We all agree that MCAs are at the bottom of the pyramid when it comes to carrying out oversight responsibilities. In fact, the courts have pronounced themselves on the important role played by members of county assemblies, that they undertake primary oversight, including vetting of officers recruited by their respective county governments. The Speaker, to expect that a member of the county assembly will earn 86,000 Kenya shillings and then recruit ministers in the county governments who earn 400,000 shillings, the Speaker, is laughable. To expect that members of the county assemblies will oversight governors who are controlling billions of shillings, the Speaker, is to expect too much from our MCAs. In fact, if you ask me, the Speaker, what we should have done is to increase the salaries and allowances of our MCAs to equip them properly for purposes of undertaking primary oversight. The Speaker, devolution will either succeed or fail in county assemblies. And the success or failure of devolution will be directly related to the amounts of monies that we give to MCAs, not just as salaries, but as allowances to carry out their responsibilities. The Speaker, the last thing I want to say about these members of the county assemblies is that I hope after we are done with this statement, because we follow it where it goes, I hope the Senator for Nandi, and I know he's capable of doing this, will take a step forward and move this statement from just a conversation around salaries and allowances to MCAs to a situation where we begin to apply our minds and our debate on the, what do you call it? You call it the World Development Fund, and agree what proportion of the money that goes to governors should be allocated to specific wards to enable our MCAs to be able to carry out proper oversight. So, Speaker, I thank the Senator of Nandi for coming up with this statement. These days, the Speaker, the Senator of Nandi is doing a good job. He's trying to endear himself with his people, which is a good thing. I thank the Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I join my colleague Senator Wambua in congratulating Senator Cherargei for bringing to the Senate a very topical issue, a conversation that is going on, unfortunately, in the wrongest places, Mr. Speaker. I've seen our brothers and sisters in the county assembly try to persecute this point in funerals, weddings, churches. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, you know Kenyans are Kenyans. There's no day a Kenyan will ever expect an extra coin to go to the pocket of any politician. Yet, at the end of the day, even after that function, immediately after they have told the Mheshimiwa, we cannot add you a coin, you'll find a few following him and saying, please spray us, we want to go home. They are just like these members of parliament who are opposed to the finance bill, Mr. Speaker. On one mouth, they are saying we are opposed to the finance bill. On the other one, please, we want to see better roads and development in our county. Mr. Speaker, sir, this conversation is better had in the devolution committee, where you can reason as adults, Mr. Speaker. Let SRC come and explain before this House, Mr. Speaker, what was the justification for this finding, Mr. Speaker, because it is grossly out of order, Mr. Speaker. It's unfair to expect that our county assemblies will perform their constitutional mandate, Mr. Speaker, and be the bodies and the organs that Kenyans envision when they pass the 2010 constitution, while being paid a paltry 80,000, Mr. Speaker. While at the same time, you have denied them car grants, you have removed their sitting allowance, just like they did for members of this House, Mr. Speaker. At least, what I know, Mr. Speaker, is that given the fact that members of parliament are slightly paid better, they can survive. But imagine as a member of county assembly who wakes up in the village with a queue of 10 to 20 citizens expecting you to sort a few of their problems, as is a tradition in this country, Mr. Speaker, with a paltry 86,000. So what will members of county assembly do, Mr. Speaker? They'll have to find creative ways of surviving, some of which involve, unfortunately, undermining the very duty for which they were elected, Mr. Speaker. That's why you find county assembly members have turned into choir masters for governors, Mr. Speaker. It's not their wish. If they were properly compensated, if we ensured, even as Senate, that we gave the necessary support to our county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, ensure that we enable them, increased their ceiling, Mr. Speaker. Comparatively, Mr. Speaker, we need to undertake a study and establish what is it. Our allocation this term, Mr. Speaker, is 40 billion, this financial year, rather, the coming financial year, as Parliament, is 40 billion Kenya shillings in a budget of close to 3 trillion. What are the ceilings that we have put in our various county assemblies? And you know the politics that goes with it. How many, you know the fight, Mr. Speaker, that came about until we did an amendment to the PFM, Mr. Speaker, separating the accounts of county assemblies with those of the executive. Members of county assembly, unfortunately, have gone through very difficult times. And it's until petitions are brought to this House, Mr. Speaker, that they benefit from some of these things. I recall, Mr. Speaker, in our first term of this House, Mr. Speaker, where MCAs appeared before devolution committee, then serving as a member, and informed us of how difficult it was back then serving when they served under a unified account together with that of the executive. There are governors who would even delay salaries of individual members of county assembly because of either they support or they don't support the activities, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to take the county assemblies down that route. Lynn Mengich, the chairperson of SRC, Mr. Speaker, must come before the devolution committee. Let them give us their justification. This is not it is not about the earning or the well-being of MCAs. This is about devolution, Mr. Speaker. This is about devolution. Therefore, I expect, Mr. Speaker, that the devolution committee will lead us into having a structured conversation so that eventually we can right what is grossly wrong, Mr. Speaker, to our members of county assembly. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mazaya.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, cha kwanza tunataka kusema ni kwamba nataka kumshukuru sana ndugu yetu Cherargei, seneta wa Nandi. Bwana Spika, ukiangalia kitu cha kwanza ni kwamba kama kuna maaskari ama kama kuna wale tunaita first hand soldiers wa devolution wa serikali ya ugatuzi, hakuna wengine bali ni wale members wa county assembly zetu. Bwana Spika, bila hao hakuna devolution, kwa sababu hao ndio wanadeal na watu directly. Hata afadhali sisi tukienda kule itakuwa baadaye, kwamba tumelei policy hapa alafu tunaenda kule baadaye. Lakini kama kuna watu ambao wanatakana kuangaliwa vilivyo, na serikali za ugatuzi ni wale wabunge wetu wa katika zile county zetu, county assemblies. Bwana Spika, ni jambo la kusikitisha, ni jambo la aibu kuona kwamba ile jopo la wengichi ambalo linahusikana na mishahara linazembea kwa upande wake. Hatujui ni kwa sababu gani, wala hatujaambiwa sababu, wala hatujui ni kwa sababu gani. Lakini ukiangalia hata ile mishahara, ni jambo la kusikitisha leo ukiona wale wanaopanga mambo ya mishahara kuweza kumpatia MCA kila mwezi mshahara wake kama shilingi 80,000 ama ikifika mwisho 1,120. Bwana Spika, alafu uangalie wale ambao wameandikwa ndani ya county kama mawaziri ambao hawakuchaguliwa na wananchi, ambao hawajui hata kutafuta kura moja. Wao wamependelewa, wamepewa maofisi na wale magavana ambao wako pale. Wamepewa magari, wamepewa bodyguard, wamepewa maofisi, wamepewa masekretari, wanapikiwa chai saa 4, na wale watu ambao walitafuta kura kutoka kwa wananchi ambao ni ma MCA. Lakini ukiangalia tofauti zao ni kwamba yule aliyepewa kazi pale kwa ofisi, akapewa chai, akapewa gari, akaambiwa yeye kazi yake itakuwa kuzunguka kwenda kutafuta ama kuangalia kulinganisha na ile wizara ambao yeye yuko, anaitwa kama waziri ama CEC. Unapata ya kwamba yeye anapata 400,000, mara 4 ama mara 5 zaidi ya MCA. Hii ni makosa na hii ni dhambi. Huyu anaitwa Mengichi, ni umuhimu aje hapa tuwe na date na yeye. Nataka kumwambia kabisa kinaga ubaga ya kwamba aliyofanya ni madhambi kwa MCAs. Ikizidi sana inatakana wale mawaziri ama ma CECs wao ndio wapate 80,000 na wale ma MCA wapate 400,000. Bwana Spika, madhambi kama haya hatuwezi kuruhusu hapa ndani. Na mimi naunga mkono seneta wangu Cherargei, ndugu yangu wa Nandi, kwa kuleta hili swala hapa. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Senator Kathuria Murungi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving this opportunity also to wade into this matter. Honorable Speaker, this body called Salaries and Remuneration Commission actually should be disbanded with immediate effect. You know, Honorable Speaker, this commission sits almost thrice per month. And what they review, you fail to understand. Why do they meet every week, every month to review? Because once you review the salary for officers, then that's it. So unless then, if I can see senators have mercy with this body, maybe why can they be just temporary or just to meet twice or thrice per year, Honorable Speaker? The allowances that they draw are in excess of 40,000 per meeting. And then when the MCA sits in a county assembly to execute his mandate, elected by members of the public, they 108 even 3,000 shillings, Honorable Speaker. So this is hypocrisy, which started when Sarah Serem was the chair. And we battled with her when I was in the other house. Now the new chair came in. We thought she would be better, but now I think she is worse. That is why I really support the sentiments by my colleagues that this SRC chair and her board should appear before this house so that we can ask them hard questions. And that should be just an open forum so that every senator can be able to express him or herself. Mr. Speaker, the salary of MCAs, 8,000, is a slam on their face. These are members elected just like us. They are legislators, they do oversight.
And Senator Kathuri, there is a a point of information. Would you wish to be informed?
Yeah, my uncle can inform me, Senator for Kitui. I think he has good intentions. Yes, yes.
Thank you, the Speaker. The Speaker, I just want to inform my brother, the Senator for Meru. It's actually my uncle. Don't dispute that. That, Mr. Speaker, maybe actually the thing to do will be to ask the Committee on Devolution not to hear that matter at committee level, but to make it a matter of the committee of the whole, so that every senator comes here and deals with that matter. Thank
Senator Wambua, are you contributing or you're informing Senator Kathuri? Because I don't see any information there. Proceed, Senator Kathuri.
Actually, Honorable Speaker, I mean that recommendation that this matter should be a matter handled by the whole House. A committee of the whole, which I will chair that day, Honorable Speaker, because I chairs the committee of the whole, be the chair that day, so that we can really hammer these people properly. So, Mr. Speaker, I was saying the MCAs are registrators like us, they oversight, and also they represent the people in their respective ones. Actually, to me, their minimum salary should be not less than 500,000, so that they can be able to move. They should also be given car grants and also mileage allowance, so that they can be able to move. Mr. Speaker, if devolution will succeed in Kenya, it will succeed through empowering MCAs and empowering the Senate. Those are the only two institutions which will be able to take care of the billions which we disburse to the counties. That is why it is very, very important for the senators to have oversight fund, so that they can be able also to work in the many constituencies that we serve, Mr. Speaker. So we have no apologies to make, and I wish even this is a matter of national importance, Honorable Speaker. This should really be handled properly. And Mr. Speaker, I don't want to emphasize on this matter, but it is a matter really that MCAs are suffering. Today I saw Nakuru County Assembly has been closed definitely. The others which they have closed because of these issues on salaries. So, Mr. Speaker, as we speak here, county assemblies are closing shops because they say they cannot be able even to move to the assembly. So they have suspended their activities. So, Honorable Rekina, you know you pursue other things. On this one, this is now a bipartisan matter on MCs. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are no strangers to why we amended the Constitution to create county governments. And Mr. Speaker, it appears like the two ladies who have sat in this office had a brief from wherever where to ensure that it fails. The moment they have come in, they have pretended that they understand devolution to the extent that the senator of Nairobi, who has got 17 constituencies under him, and the senator of Kakamega and Kiambu, who have 12 constituencies apiece under us, we are supposed to be rated at the same level with one MP in one of the constituencies. This arrogance, Mr. Speaker, is the one which they have taken to county assemblies. The way they belittle senators, they are belittling MCAs. Mr. Speaker, a chef in a five-star hotel in Nairobi earns 87,000 shillings. A chef, a cook, 87,000 shillings. And an MCA earns 86. How many hotels do you have in a ward where an MCA presides over? Mr. Speaker, an MCA earns 86 and a principal of a high school in this country earns 190,000 shillings. How many high schools do we have in a ward represented by an MCA? Mr. Speaker, the issue of traveling allowance, to move from Munavi in Matungu constituency to the other end of Kakamega in Moy's Bridge, it is 200 kilometers. the MCA has to drive from his home in Moisbridge to Kakamega town 130 kilometers and he can't make a claim. Mr. Speaker, MCAs have been reduced into running away from their homes. They don't sleep at home because when people come in the morning, they have no money to spend on them. Mr. Speaker, the MCA of Shea Ward, in Kakamega County has a ward which has got a bigger voting population than 20% of all the constituencies of Kenya. That kind of person cannot represent people. Mr. Speaker, we just have to come out. We are lucky we are in the Senate. We are not unlucky like them. We have the highest platform in the country. Let us do all that it will take. Up to and including, Mr. Speaker, as the Chief Whip, I want to speak. We can choose to take a position that we are not going to pass a critical bill like the Division of Revenue Bill until the welfare of MCAs is addressed. And if the government thinks that MCAs are important, pay them. And if you don't think they are important, remove that category so that we know how to deal with the problem. Mr. Speaker, I'm not speaking from theory. I hosted the 90 MCAs of Kakamega County in my home in Marinya. And Mr. Speaker, they told me that there is something they are crying for called financial autonomy. We want our county assemblies to have financial autonomy so they are not captured by governors. We sit here, we divide money between constituencies, between counties, the Kara bill. After we make the law, the governors then start treating that money as theirs. They do not want to make the MCAs comfortable in terms of discharging their duties. Members, let us not fall to the prey of being set up against members of the National Assembly. Let us move together with members of the National Assembly to ensure that the welfare of all of us is well taken. And I can assure you, if you send Honorable Cheruyot here to the President with a properly argued issue, I can assure you President William Ruto, who is a hustler like all of us, is going to support it, and we are going to make sure that our MCAs are well off. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Onyonka, you know, I've not called you up. You're out of order. You're totally out of order, and I'll give you the caution, the first caution of the day. Senator Ojenda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me have this opportunity to contribute to the statement by my learned friend, Senator Cherargei. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have 1,450 MCAs in this country, out of which 772 are nominated. So I think as we contribute to this motion, we must be alive to the implications of any increase of wages or salaries to the economy of this country. And I'm sure that the leader of majority and the leader of minority, and even Mr. Cherargei, know that part of the reasons, or one of the reasons why this House has been struggling and fighting with the National Assembly over the funding of this House is because of the question of resources. Some of the contributions that are here in this House by Senator, the Whip, the Majority Whip, are fairly populist. Yes. They seem to appeal to the members of County Assembly, but I think ignore the crux of the question as to whether these assemblies undertake oversight. The reason advanced, Mr. Speaker, sir, this afternoon is that these assemblies are unable to undertake oversight because they earn a paltry 86,000. Of importance, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that members of these county assemblies, most of the members of these county assemblies have gone to bed with the executive and are unable to undertake oversight as contemplated by Article 176 of the Constitution that creates county governments. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am aware in my county, for instance, that some of the members of the county assemblies sit in over 13 committees and are therefore unable to undertake oversight. We are alive, Mr. Speaker, to the fact that members of the county assembly are required to do primary oversight. Senate should do secondary oversight. But I think we are at a point where we are actually undertaking primary oversight because our county assemblies are unable to undertake primary oversight. Mr. Speaker, sir, a salary alone or money alone is not the only factor that will equip members of the county assembly with the capacity to undertake oversight. I am alive to the fact that Section 22(1)(c) of the Elections Act number 24 of 2011 had proposed that MCAs be equipped with the sufficient academic qualifications to undertake oversight. And that is why the proposal was that at the third election, MCAs would have at least a minimum degree qualification to be elected. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a point that this Senate should push in as much as we are pushing for better salaries. Let us also push for quality members of county assembly who understand issues, who can defend devolution, but who also are able to stand up to the executive. Let us not just talk about giving money to MCAs, some of whom do not understand the role of oversight, nay, the constitution of this country. So it is important, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we call a spade, Senator Cherargei, and ensure that we have quality MCAs elected to the houses. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support in part the need to have better salaries. But let us also have capacity.
Can the senator be heard in silence, please?
Yes. Please, I am teaching the law. Please listen to me. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, the spirit, the Elections Act ought to be put in effect. Mr. Speaker, sir, and I am the advocate who went to court to stop degree qualifications. I'll also remind you that I did that then, and I got orders to allow MCAs who do not have degrees to be elected in the last election. But today I'm saying that perhaps it is time at the next election that we get MCAs who have degrees to be elected so that they can do oversight. But Mr. Speaker, sir, let me support Senator Alwale on the question of independence, on the question of the division of revenue bill, so that when monies are taken to the counties, let the executive not ride roughshod over the county assemblies. Because county assembly leadership, that is leader of majority, leader of minority, go to bed with the executive so as to get favors. They go to bed with the executive so that they can get favors, and therefore that undermines the evolution and the entire intent of county government, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I support in part, but I say let the good salaries come with an obligation. Let the good salaries also come with a duty on the part of MCAs. Otherwise, we will add money to a marauding crowd that will not undertake oversight. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also say something. Mr. Speaker, on Saturday, we had a Thanksgiving ceremony for the Deputy Speaker of the County of Tana River, who is the only elected lady, Honorable Rhoda Katisha. Mr. Speaker, that function was attended by very many members of the County Assembly, led by the Deputy Majority Leader Ahmed Darwesh. One of the things that kept on coming in every speech of every member of the County Assembly, Mr. Speaker, is that they are facing extremely difficult circumstances. And Mr. Speaker, there is no escaping it. Even if you run away from your area, nowadays fundraisings have gone through, they have gone what? Online. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. So they are saying in every fundraiser for funerals, and our funerals are many, you are put in there and you are supposed to contribute. And the contribution you make as an honorable member of the county assembly, when you make a small contribution, the people come to ask you, Mheshimiwa, is this the only one that you can manage? And Mr. Speaker, this is a reality they are living with every single day. Mr. Speaker, I really want to support this statement by the Honorable Cherargei. Let us have a relook. But I want to remind the House, Mr. Speaker, that for those of us who have been around for many years, you remember that Honorable Peter Olo Oringo, he is the one who actually championed the independence of members of parliament to be where we are today. And it was because of his efforts that we ended up with an independent commission that is able to fight for our rights. Mr. Speaker, I wanted us not to forget this fact, not to forget paying tribute to those who went before us. Mr. Speaker, the way to go for these honorable members of county assembly is not for us to leave it to the whims and the decisions of the SRC alone. We must have a strong body that is going to establish the standards and payments for these people. It must be a constitutional body so that these people can serve our people at their level without financial embarrassment. I submit, Mr. Speaker, we should support this petition by the Honorable Cherargei. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika pia kunipa fursa hii kuongezea kauli yangu juu ya taarifa iliyoletwa bungeni na Senator Cherargei, Senator wa Nandi. Mheshimiwa Spika, masaibu yanayokumba wabunge wa kaunti zetu ni masaibu ambayo ni ya kusikitisha. Ikikumbukwa kwamba ugatuzi ulikuja kuleta tofauti baina ya mabaraza ya miji yalikuwa na hudumu wakati wa nyuma na mfumo mpya wa kiserikali ambao unatumika katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, marupurupu anayopata Mheshimiwa Spika ni machache sana kulingana na hali ya maisha ilivyo, hususan kwa wale ambao wako katika miji mikubwa na wale pia ambao katika miji midogo midogo. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia kwa mfano katika kaunti ya Mombasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, wabunge hawa wa bunge la kaunti ya Mombasa wanahitajika kupata ofisi, wanahitajika kupata nyumba ambazo zinastahili hadhi yao, na nyumba hizi haziwezi kukodishwa Mheshimiwa Spika bila ya pesa. Kwa hivyo yale marupurupu wanayopata Mheshimiwa Spika hayawezeshi kuweza kukabiliana na maisha kisawasawa, na ndio mara nyingi wanapatikana wakihujumu kazi zao kupitia kwa ile ruzuku ndogo ndogo wanazopata kutoka kwa wakuu wa kaunti. Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa sheria ilibadilishwa na ikawa fedha za county assembly na fedha za county executive ziko mbalimbali, lakini bado Mheshimiwa Spika utapata kwamba waziri ama mwanakamati ambaye anahusika na mambo ya fedha wa county husika anahujumu utendakazi wa bunge la county, kwa sababu pesa zinavyokuja kutoka kwa mfuko wa serikali kuu sizo ambazo zinakwenda katika kulipa mishahara au kulipa marupurupu ya member wa county assembly. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya kubadilisha ama kurekebisha sheria ya fedha, yani PFM Act, kuhakikisha kwamba hawa bunge la county lina fedha zake mbali na zile fedha ambazo ziko katika bunge katika serikali ya county, kwa sababu serikali ya county mara nyingi wakiitisha pesa Mheshimiwa Spika wanapunguziwa ama wanatolewa pesa kidogo kidogo ili kuhakikisha kwamba kazi zao zinahujumiwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nakubaliana na wenzangu wametoa kauli kwamba swala hili lizungumzwe na bunge zima kauli nzima ya bunge hili liweze kuzamia swala hili, ili wabunge wetu wa kaunti za assembly waweze kupata marupurupu ya kisawasawa, na vile vile pia SRC, Mheshimiwa Spika, wapewe onyo kwamba kupunguza marupurupu haya kuna hujumu ugatuzi katika nchi yetu. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senator Roba. And while Senator Roba is making his comments, kindly may the two whips approach the chair, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support this statement shared by Senator Cherargei. All of us in this house come from different background and different experience. I was privileged to have participated in 3 elections alongside these county assembly members, MCAs. And the MCAs go through hell for them to get elected into the office as an MCA, particularly in areas that I come from. And the issue is SRC may act and make decisions behind a desk without having reality of what MCAs undergo. It's very easy for SRC to be able to say, for them to remain relevant, let's reduce for the functional responsibility of SRC to be seen that they're doing something. But the reality is these grassroots leaders are really suffering, and they are the first contact with the public. They are the people that live with the public. They're the people who stay with the public. They're the people that the first problem affecting the public faces every time. And for SRC to have made an unfortunate decision just before the last general election to reduce drastically the remuneration that is meant for members of county assemblies is an extremely unfortunate, extremely arrogant.
Cherargei, kindly take your seat, sir. And Senator Mazayo. Senator Mazayo, take your seat. The Senator for Kilifi.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, for SRC to have made a decision just before the last general election, arbitrarily behind a desk without knowing the reality that MCAs undergo, and slash the allowances as well as the remuneration meant for MCAs drastically, out of sheer ignorance and lack of reality of what MCAs undergo in terms of even vying for that political seat. They are being the first grassroots leaders that problems of our constituents face. It's very unfortunate. I want to thank Senator Cherargei for raising to the occasion to bring this issue to the light. The Senate mandate is protection of devolution. In that devolution, there are 2 structures, the executive and the assembly. The assembly is under siege. As I'm aware, and we've been made aware, over 12 county assemblies have already closed shop. And that should create an air of emergency around the speed with which as the Senate need to deal with this issue, because SRC must be forced to come back to reality of looking at the role of county assembly member. What do they undergo for them to be elected? What responsibilities do they have on the ground for them to be able to say this is justified or this is not justified? I rise to support this statement, and I would like to urge the Senate, as Senator Wambua has proposed, the level of seriousness to be scaled up so that the committee of the whole discusses this issue, because where it stands now, at a time that county assemblies are required to pass budgets for the county executive in the coming financial year before 30th of June, county assemblies are closing shop, meaning devolution is going to be brought to grinding halt, which we should not allow as the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. My appeal to my colleagues is that we really need to take up this issue of the county assemblies, their salaries, because as the Committee of Finance, we've received over 16 requests on issues that speakers and clerks are saying we are not even able to run this county assembly with what has taken shape. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support and beg that my colleagues, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, to agree that we scale this issue up so that the Committee of the Whole discusses for us to take drastic action. Otherwise, it's not only about the MCAs. Now it has gone to affecting devolution by closure of executive activities because budgets are not going to be processed. Finance bills and other things are going to really stall because assemblies have closed shop. Thank you very much. I support.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me this afternoon to be the devil's advocate. Mr. Speaker, they say that the only vice that cannot be forgiven is hypocrisy. And that even the repentance of a hypocrite is itself hypocrisy. It is very easy for you to point fingers at other people, but whenever you are pointing a finger at someone, you should always remember that there are four that are pointing backwards to you. All of us in this discussion have a role to play. We have a role to play in the situation in our counties. We have a role to play in the situation in people's homes, people's kitchens. Mr. Speaker, we as a House, the way I understand the division of revenue to work, is that even the money that is supposed to go to the salaries, emoluments of the members of the county assembly, come from the amount of money that we send to the counties. There is no separate allocation for that. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, when we as a House get an opportunity to increase the devolution basket, I hold the position that as a Senate, we must always do everything that we can to enlarge that basket before we come here and pontificate and try to please MCAs when we are the people who are part of the problem of the MCAs, Mr. Speaker. I was in this House, and it embarrasses me greatly as a senator. Every time I see a senator speak about, oh, we don't have drugs in our hospitals. Oh, MCAs need better salaries. Where is that money going to come from? It is us as a Senate to fight to enlarge the basket of devolution. And the embarrassment that I get, Mr. Speaker, is that the opportunity that we get to enlarge that basket is through the division of revenue bill. That bill was here. We had an opportunity to enlarge that basket. We as a Senate chose not to enlarge that basket. And it cannot come from us that now we are suddenly realizing that MCAs need more money. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we in our committees, whenever we meet the county assemblies, they come before the county public accounts committee. We have had this conversation with members of the county assembly. And we don't have to appear like we are tone deaf. We are having this conversation at a time when every Kenyan is struggling. I have argued that, in fact, if we are talking about earnings and salaries, let us have a conversation about all Kenyans' earnings and salaries. Everybody is suffering, Mr. Speaker. We would appear to be tone deaf as a House if we only picked to discuss our own emoluments or emoluments of other elected leaders, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we have tried to convince our colleagues on the other side of the political divide that we must have a conversation generally about how Kenyans are doing. People's incomes have not grown for a long time, Mr. Speaker. All these responsibilities that people are talking about, it's not as if only elected MPs or elected members of the county assemblies are invited to Harambes. No. People who work in public service, wanaitwa wakubwa, they are called senior people on the ground there, they are called, but their salaries have not grown, Mr. Speaker. So let us not have this conversation in the context in which the country is in right now. Mr. Speaker, what I want us to do...
What is your point of order, Senator Sifuna? What is your point of order, Senator Methu?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would not have really wanted to disrupt my big brother, Senator Sifuna, but I think it is fair that I quote Standing Order 105, responsibility for statement of fact. A senator shall be responsible for accuracy of any facts that the senator alleges to be true and may be required to substantiate. Mr. Speaker, I find the argument of Senator Sifuna misleading that the more amount of money we send to counties, the more MCAs will get, because capping of what MCAs or any public servant earns is by SRC. Even if we were to send 1 trillion to the counties. Yes. And the money has been capped at 86, Mr. Speaker. The county assembly or county government cannot be able to raise their salaries. Exactly. So the point that is, the statement, I think he's contributing to a statement that has not been sought. Yeah. What Senator Cherargei has sought this afternoon is a review by the SRC, not a review by Division of Revenue, not a review by the Senate, not a review by anybody, because the only person that has that mandate is the SRC. Exactly. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
In your statement, you alluded to the fact that the more money that goes to the counties, then the more the MCAs will.
Mr. Speaker,
is that correct?
Mr. Speaker, that's not what I said. When Senator Cherargei was speaking, he talked about salaries, he talks about allowances and the welfare of members. Mr. Speaker, let me give you an example. There was a time here in the County Assembly of Nairobi when the Assembly was not able to purchase water. You are also aware, Mr. Speaker, that there is a capping on the percentage that can be utilized in terms of emoluments and salaries in the counties. Mr. Speaker, what I am saying is this, and it has been submitted on this floor, that salaries is not the only way to make a member effective as a legislator, as an oversighter. What I am saying is, let us get whenever we get an opportunity to grow that basket, Mr. Speaker, and we have had this conversation with members of the County Assembly who have appeared before us, that they would want to have autonomy of their own budgets. I don't think that Senator Methu understood what I was saying, because these are all matters that had been canvassed here.
Senator Kajwang, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm rising on a point of information to Senator Sifuna if he accepts.
Then you need permission from the senator. Senator Sifuna, would you wish to be informed?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, he's the chair of PAC. He's my chair. I have to say yes. I don't have any option.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know why he said unfortunately, but but Mr. Speaker, the matter raised by Senator Methu is not true. Senator Sifuna would be right, because if you look at the regulations, the PFM County Government Regulations of 2015, and that is Regulation 25(1)F, whatever county assemblies get is supposed to be based on the equitable share of a county. The regulations that we passed currently puts it at 7% of a county's equitable share, or twice the personnel emoluments, whichever is greater. So it is not far-fetched for Senator Sifuna to say that the more money we send to counties, the more money that will be available to county assemblies, not necessarily for salary, Mr. Speaker, but it could be for operations. It could be to facilitate public participation, public outreach, and to enable them to carry out their oversight and representation mandate. And so, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to remind Senator Sifuna of this. We had discussed it in the morning, and he does not have to apologize to Senator Methu for making an impression that if we would have voted for 407 billion, then county assemblies would have been given access to more money to be able to carry out operations, which I know that the matter before us is about salaries and payments and benefits, but county assemblies would have gotten more money if the Senate gives more money to counties.
Senator Sifuna, proceed to conclude your remarks, please. Let's rest this matter there. Proceed to conclude your remarks.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, but we understand the jitteriness of our colleagues when we discuss this matter.
Proceed to
because even their own MCAs ask them these questions when they go home. Mr. Speaker, finally, let me conclude that at the county Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Speaker, in fact, this question of the autonomy of the Assembly, autonomy of the budgets of the Assembly is something that we as a Senate must now expedite. I am aware that our legal team is working on this. And the review of the ceilings. I am very happy with the chairperson of our finance committee, the senator from Mandera. He is always willing to listen to the county assemblies when they come to him and the members of the budget, including my sister Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Because, Mr. Speaker, there are actual and real impediments to the carrying out of these functions. And even for us here, we don't necessarily have to, we have had this conversation about our own affairs in here. And we have agreed it doesn't have to be about salary. It cannot just be about facilitating the role of a senator. If it is possible for me to conduct oversight and I don't touch any money, let me find the holes where people are going to hold public participation already paid for, water is there, people are there. I don't need to touch the money, Mr. Speaker. So please, let us not run away from our primary responsibility and vilify other organizations such as the CRA. Once we grow our devolution basket, then let us have a conversation with CRA about allocation of more resources to those who provide oversight. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We are going to allow, at least to be fair, I'm going to allow our lady senators to speak. And I'm going to allow Senator Tabitha, thereafter Senator Kavindu, and then we rest this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to be able to support the good statement by Senator Cherargei. To our good colleagues at the ground level, none other than the MCAs. Mr. Speaker, let me start by pointing out that this SRC chair did allocate themselves or herself car grant worth 10 million, whereas the MCAs are whose allocation is actually 2 million, which is still taxed. And this is quite very unfair because we know the role that the MCAs do play at the ground level. The easy connection between them and the people on the ground, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one thing that is very highlight that comes out is the lack of autonomy for the county assembly to be able to budget their resources. This is because they have to await when funds have been allocated to the county, and then the governors have to transfer the same funds. This has brought quite high levels of friction. And it is at this time, as we address the issue of SRC on the welfare of the MCAs, the issue of independence at the county levels. The MCAs should be able to budget their own funds without depending from the governors. This has made governors become, you know, very hard-headed in how they have to coerce the MCAs because they hold the money that is supposed
Assemblies have closed shop. Thank you very much. I support.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me this afternoon to be the devil's advocate. Mr. Speaker, they say that the only vice that cannot be forgiven is hypocrisy, and that even the repentance of a hypocrite is itself hypocrisy. It is very easy for you to point fingers at other people, but whenever you are pointing a finger at someone, you should always remember that there are four that are pointing backwards to you. All of us in this discussion have a role to play. We have a role to play in the situation in our counties. We have a role to play in the situation in people's homes, people's kitchens. Mr. Speaker, we as a house, the way I understand the division of revenue to work, is that even the money that is supposed to go to the salaries, emoluments of the members of the county assembly come from the amount of money that we send to the counties. There is no separate allocation for that. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, when we as a house get an opportunity to increase the devolution basket, I hold the position that as a Senate, we must always do everything that we can to enlarge that basket before we come here and pontificate and try to please MCAs when we are the people who are part of the problem of the MCAs, Mr. Speaker. I was in this house, and it embarrasses me greatly as a senator. Every time I see a senator speak about, oh, we don't have drugs in our hospitals, oh, MCAs need better salaries. Where is that money going to come from? It is us as a Senate to fight to enlarge the basket of devolution. And the embarrassment that I get, Mr. Speaker, is that the opportunity that we get to enlarge that basket is through the division of revenue bill. That bill was here. We had an opportunity to enlarge that basket. We as a Senate chose not to enlarge that basket. And it cannot come from us that now we are suddenly realizing that MCAs need more money. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we in our committees, whenever we meet the county assemblies, they come before the County Public Accounts Committee. We have had this conversation with members of the county assembly. And we don't have to appear like we are tone deaf. We are having this conversation at a time when every Kenyan is struggling. I have argued that, in fact, if we are talking about earnings and salaries, let us have a conversation about all Kenyans' earnings and salaries. Everybody is suffering, Mr. Speaker. We would appear to be tone deaf as a house if we only picked to discuss our own emoluments or emoluments of other elected leaders, Mr. Speaker. In fact, we have tried to convince our colleagues on the other side of the political divide that we must have a conversation generally about how Kenyans are doing. People's incomes have not grown for a long time, Mr. Speaker. All these responsibilities that people are talking about, is not as if only elected MPs or elected members of the county assemblies are invited to Harambes. No. People who work in public service, wanaitwa wakubwa, they are called senior people on the ground there, they are called, but their salaries have not grown, Mr. Speaker. So let us not have this conversation in the context in which the country is in right now. Mr. Speaker, what I want us to do...
Point of order, Senator Sifuna. What is your point of order, Senator Methu?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would not have really wanted to disrupt my big brother, Senator Sifuna, but I think it is fair that I quote Standing Order 105, responsibility for statement of fact. A senator shall be responsible for accuracy of any facts that the senator alleges to be true and may be required to substantiate. Mr. Speaker, I find the argument of Senator Sifuna misleading, that the more amount of money we send to counties, the more MCAs will get, because capping of what MCAs or any public servant earns is by SRC. Even if we were to send 1 trillion to the counties, yes, and the money has been capped at 86, Mr. Speaker, the county assembly or county government cannot be able to raise their salaries. Exactly. So the point that is the statement, I think he's contributing to a statement that has not been sought. Yeah. What Senator Cherargei has sought this afternoon is a review by the SRC, not a review by Division of Revenue, not a review by the Senate, not a review by anybody, because the only person that has that mandate is the SRC. Exactly. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
In your statement, you alluded to the fact that the more money that goes to the counties, then the more the MCAs will.
Mr. Speaker.
Is that correct?
Mr. Speaker, that's not what I said. When Senator Cherargei was speaking, he talked about salaries, he talks about allowances and the welfare of members. Mr. Speaker, let me give you an example. There was a time here in the County Assembly of Nairobi when the Assembly was not able to purchase water. Was not able to purchase water. You are also aware, Mr. Speaker, that there is a capping on the percentage that can be utilized in terms of emoluments and salaries in the counties. Mr. Speaker, what I am saying is this, and it has been submitted on this floor, that salaries is not the only way to make a member effective as a legislator, as an oversighter. What I am saying is, let us get whenever we get an opportunity to grow that basket, Mr. Speaker, and we have had this conversation with members of the County Assembly who have appeared before us, that they would want to have autonomy of their own budgets. I don't think that Senator Methu understood what I was saying, because these are all matters that have been canvassed here.
Senator Kajwang, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I'm rising on a point of information to Senator Sifuna, if he accepts.
Then you need permission from the senator. Senator Sifuna, would you wish to be informed?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, he's the chair of PAC. He's my chair. I have to say yes. I don't have any option.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know why he said unfortunately, but, but Mr. Speaker.
So, then how are they going to answer?
The question will be put.
If we could resume our seats, then we can proceed on with this session of the Committee of the Whole. Senators, we request you, do not leave, because we need to do a division after I have put the question. Honorable members who are laughing, can you now resume your seat? Honorable Senator Tabitha, you are distracting Senator Madzayo. You could resume your seat. Honorable members, on 24th May 2023, there were some questions that were navigated on the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, and there are certain clauses that now need to go to division. On the first clause that needs to be put to division, I want to put the question now. Senator Mwaruma, I request you to resume your seat. I now put the question that clause 2 and the schedule be amended as proposed. We are going to vote electronically, so you can... Sergeant at Arms, please draw the bar and lock the doors. Yes. Yes, one by one. So we can now proceed. Members, we request you to log in. If you had not logged in, please log in. Voting is electronic. Log out and then log in again. Sergeant at arms, please be alert to take out any card that is not supposed to be logged in. We proceed to vote electronically. Yes. Voting, honorable members, we'll now have a report from the clerk. Senator Mwenye Haji, please approach the chair. Senator Karungo, please come and vote manually. You need assistance?
Yes.
Honorable Senators, we go. We are going to the second set. I put the question that clause 2 is amended, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, the schedule is amended, the title and clause 1 be part of the bill. We will vote electronically. You can vote now. You don't need to log out, just vote. The system is set. Senator Omutata, Senator Boni Hadwale approach the chair, please. Come and vote manually. Where is the first question? Okay. Honorable members, Senator Omutata, order. Resume your seat. Honorable Senators, the voting has been completed. And on the first question, the ayes, those who voted in favor of the ayes had 26 votes. The nays have 1 vote. Abstentions is 0. The ayes have it. On the second questions, those who voted, the ayes had 27 votes and the nays had 1. Abstention 0. The ayes have it. We will report before we go to the next bill. So, Chairperson, please come.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendment. Thank you.
Honorable members, I put the question that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. We are now going to the next bill. Honorable Senators, the Senate has canvassed the clauses in the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022. We are now moving to division. We have 2 sets of clauses to go through. On the first clause, I put the question that clause number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, including the heading of part 2, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, in relation to heading of part 3, 21, 22, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 34, 38, 2, and 1 be amended as proposed. We are going to vote electronically. So members, make sure you are in a position to vote so that we can proceed with voting in the next. You can vote in the next 60 seconds. So let's get the results now of the voting. Senator Aaron Cheriot, Majority Leader, approached the chair. Assisted voter. We can proceed to the next set. Honorable Senators, I put the question that Clause 3, Clause 4 is amended, Clause 5 is amended, Clause 6 is amended, Clause 7 is amended, Clause 8, including heading of Part 2, is amended, Clause 9 is amended, Clause 10 is amended, Clause 11 is amended, Clause 12 is amended, Clause 13 is amended, Clause 14 is amended, Clause 15 is amended, Clause 16 is amended, Clause 17 is amended, Clause 18 is amended, Clause 19, Clause 20 in relation to the heading of Part 3 is amended, Clause 21 is amended, 2 is amended, Clause 23, Clause 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27 is amended, Clause 28 is amended, Clause 29 is amended, Clause 30 is amended, Clause 31 is amended, Clause 32, Clause 33, Clause 34 is amended, Clause 35, Clause 36, Clause 37, Clause 38 is amended, Clause 2 is amended, the title, and Clause 1 is amended, be part of the bill. Ready to vote? You can proceed to vote. We are now getting the results of that voting. Senator Mwinyi Haji Faki Mohammed, please approach the chair. Senator Mazayo, approach the chair, please. Honorable Senators, on the first clause, the ayes voted, the senators who voted yes are 29, the nays 0, abstaining 0. The ayes have it. On the second set of clause, the ayes had 28 votes, the noes 0, abstaining 0. The ayes have it. We will now proceed to reports. So I call them. Senator Kajwang.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the Senate its consideration of the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2022, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable Senators, I put the question that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it.
Members, kindly don't leave. We finish up this business. Chairperson of the Committee of the Whole, to report. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you. Who is seconding?
I request Senator Medhu, second.
Senator Medhu. What are you seconding, Senator Medhu?
You know, Mr. Speaker, Veronica Maina has been my Secretary General, so whatever she says, I have to second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. As many as of similar opinion say aye. Aye. As those of contrary opinion say nay. Mover. The ayes have it.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, be now read a third time.
Who is seconding?
And I request Senator Kalwale to second.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I second.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, now be read at that time. Yeah, there is no senator interested to make a comment. Therefore, I put the question that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, be now read at that time. Okay, let's go to the next bill. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Mover, Senator Kajwang.
It should be seconded first. You first second?
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, I second.
No, I called the mover. Move, Senator Kajwang. I'm waiting for you.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. And I ask
who is seconding?
Senator Haji to second.
Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the same report. As many as of similar opinion say aye. Aye. As those of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Move again. Senator Kajwang, you are the mover. Senator Kajwang. Move the third reading.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2022, be now read a third time, and I'll ask Senator Sifuna to second.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, now be read at that time. Yeah, still no interest. Honorable Senators, I put the question that the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, be now read at that time. Let us have the quorum bell belong for 3 minutes. Sanjay Tatam, close the door. Sanjay Tatam also drew the bar, kindly. Yeah. So, honorable senators, we are now on the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023. We do the voting on this bill and then we do the next one. So one at a time. So I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the Cindy report. You can. So I put the question that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2023, be now read at that time. Proceed and vote. Senators Mulugo Lecha Julius, Senator Mugatana Danson, and Senator Modha Maginis approach the table. Honorable Senators, these are the results of the division. The ayes, 30 votes, nays, 2 votes, abstention, 0. So the ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of a sum of money out of the equalization fund and its application towards the service of the year ending 30th June 2023 to appropriate that sum for certain public basic services and for connected purposes.
Let's go to the second and last division. Therefore, Senators, I put the question that the County Vacation and Occasion and Training Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2022, be now read at that time. Proceed and vote, Senators. Senator Mohamed Faki. These are the results of the division. The ayes that the 2, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide a framework for the establishment of systems for the administration of training in vocational education and training within a county and for connected purposes.
Open the doors. And we are now back to statements. We get the statement under 53.1 from Senator John Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to seek your indulgence that we defer this statement because whatever I had forwarded and what is here is differing substantially. So I request we defer this statement, please.
Very well. Statement deferred. Next is Kitui County Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Medhu is seeking to help me. He can help me if he wants to. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the last mile electricity connectivity to public schools. Speaker, I would have appreciated if Senator Robert stops the meeting that he is holding. Speaker, Speaker, I would appreciate if Senator Robert stops the meeting that he is holding.
So, Senator Loba. Senator Loba.
He can't even hear.
Senator. Proceed. Now is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I need him to listen to this. It's important. Speaker, I will take it again. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the last mile electricity connectivity to public schools. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide a comprehensive overview of the current electricity connectivity status in Kitui County, stating the number of public schools that currently lack connection to the national grid. 2, elucidate the underlying factors contributing to the delay in commissioning power connections to public schools in Kitui County 8 years after the requisite infrastructure was put in place. 3, outline the immediate and long-term interventions devised by the government to foster the seamless connection of all public schools into the national grid, encompassing both Kitui County and the entirety of the nation. And 4, shed light on any collaboration between the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Education, and other relevant stakeholders to expedite the process of power connectivity in public schools. Speaker, I was seeking the attention of Senator Roba because I know the problems that the people of Kitui face, especially the public schools, is also very severe in Mandera and Lamu counties. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Edwin Sifuna. He has 2 statements. I saw him here this afternoon, up to the division. So those statements are dropped. Senator for Mulanga County, Joe Nyutu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 3 statements to make, and I'm going to start with the most important one, affecting dairy farmers in Murang'a. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism on the circumstances that led to the closure of Murang'a County creameries in Murang'a County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the reasons for the closure of Murang'a County creameries in Murang'a County, indicating plans in place, if any, by the county government to revive the factory. 2, apprise the Senate on the welfare of the employees, ascertaining if their benefits were paid, further outlining strategies in place to have the employees reinstated when the factory is revived. And 3, explain measures in place to ensure the affected farmers continue to market and sell their milk for the duration Murang'a County creameries is closed. End of statement 1, Mr. Speaker. Statement 2 is on regulation of credit on microfinance institutions. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism on the continued exploitation of Kenyans by credit-only microfinance institutions, MFIs. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline the existing regulations governing credit-only MFIs, disclosing the compliance rate of MFIs to these rules. 2, address deficiencies noted, if any, in the implementation of these regulations, stating interventions to control and streamline the operations of MFIs akin to the regulations extended to digital lenders by the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK. 3, state the disciplinary measures, if any, imposed on the MFIs if they fail to adhere to the established regulations. And 4, spell out measures in place, if any, to ensure the protection of their consumers from exploitation by the MFIs. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise again pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the increasing cases of gender-based violence against men. In the statement, the committee should, 1, list the public hospitals and public police stations with GBV desks dedicated to men and boys. 2, state the measures in place to scale up public awareness campaigns on GBV, particularly those targeted at men and boys. 3, explain what the government is doing to ensure male victims get proper attention and care, as in the case with female victims. And 4, highlight the steps the government is taking to prevent gender-based violence against men. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Joe Nyutu from Murang'a. I hope you note that I'm a Madam Speaker, not a Speaker, sir. Senator John Methu.
I did not look that side. Sorry, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm sure because Joe Nyutu is your senator, he would not want to give you a title that does not belong to you. Madam Speaker, I'd like to comment on these 2 statements that have been sought by my neighbor and colleague, Senator Joe Nyutu. And I'll first with the first one that he started with, the one on Murang'a County creameries. Madam Speaker, those of us who come from agricultural counties, we are strongly opined and we believe that the breakthrough for our farmers will come when we shall start processing our produce. Madam Speaker, as it is the case for Nyandarua, the leading producer of potatoes in the Republic, we look forward to having the county government of Nyandarua do a potato processing plant in the potato growing areas. So it's such a very sad state of affairs, Madam Speaker, that this landmark government entity of Murang'a County Creameries, which we all feel very proud, because it came at such a point when milk was being bought at very, very low prices, Madam Speaker. And it really injected the market and processing of milk, and the people of Murang'a have been very big beneficiaries from this particular creamery. So, Madam Speaker, it is not and it should not, and I want to believe, because the answers will be made by the committee that you commit. I would want to hope, Madam Speaker, that this creamery has collapsed, not because the governor who launched it left, because there must be continuity of service, Madam Speaker. It cannot be that taxpayers' money is used, and myself and Senator Sifuna sit in the Public Accounts Committee. We always insist there is perpetuity of offices. It cannot be that when a governor leaves, he lives with his legacy, he lives with his dreams, he lives with everything, and public money has been spent. So this matter should be, it's not even a matter of the county government of Murang'a alone, Madam Speaker, because this creamery affects the prices of milk in the entire region. It affects Nyandarua, it affects the leading producer of milk, Kiambu, it affects all of us. So we must get to know whether what plans have been placed by the county government of Murang'a for reviving the creamery. My second and last comment, Madam Speaker, is the statement that he has sought on the increasing cases of gender-based violence. And he is very specific on men. Because, Madam Speaker, every time there is gender-based violence against a man, people make a joke out of it. And the way we have been made, Madam Speaker, if you find, for whatever reason, a man is being abused, or it has come to the attention of the public that a man is being abused, you can imagine how much more that man has had to bear in silence for the time, before this thing comes to the public. So, Madam Speaker, as we campaign against gender-based violence for women, I think it is time now we also speak about the men. Every time there are campaigns for the girl child, but the boy child is always forgotten. Madam Speaker, this is a very, very, very timely statement. I would be very, very interested. If the senator for Nyeri was here, I'm sure he would have been a very, very interested party in this particular matter. But
what's your point of order?
The senator to inform the senator for Nyandalo that I'm indeed in the house.
Yeah, I'm duly informed by my chairman of the caucus. I'm sure I know he was attending a very serious government business, so I didn't know that he was that meticulous to finish and come back in very, very good time. But the point that I was making is that, especially from our region, every time a case comes up, it will most likely be from Nyeri, then another one from Kirinyaga, then remotely from Nyandara, because of us are settlers from the other counties. So, Madam Speaker, this campaign against gender-based violence must cut across for men and for women. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Methu. We can have Senator Edwin Sifuna to give his statement.
Thank you for your indulgence, Madam Speaker. I had two statements. The first one was on water shortage in Nairobi City County. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the perennial water shortages in Nairobi City County. In the statement, the committee should state the measures by the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company, NWSC, to effectively resolve the perennial water shortages experienced in Nairobi City County, particularly in Langata constituency, Embakasi area and the Central Business District, while giving timelines that have been set to address the problem. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the committee should spell out the measures that NWSC has taken to combat the emergence of water bowser cartels and criminal gangs in the water sector that are sabotaging water supply across the city for the purposes of exploiting the residents of Nairobi. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, the committee should provide an overview of the budgetary and operational plans that Nairobi Water has developed to facilitate the overhaul or replacement of obsolete water production and supply equipment, and finally, explain the technological advancement or innovative approaches that the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company is adopting in order to reduce or eliminate instances of non-revenue water, such as the one sold by water cartels in the city. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would like to read the second statement on the destruction of property in tea estates belonging to private investors in Kericho and Bomet counties. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the destruction of property in tea estates belonging to private investors in Kericho and Bomet counties. In the statement, the committee should state the role, if any, played by any local leaders, security officials and respective employee unions in Kericho and Bomet counties in dissuading or encouraging the destruction of private property owned by tea estate farms. Secondly, explain why police intervention was not adequate to prevent the destruction of property belonging to the private investors, indicating the measures in place to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. Thirdly, outline the subsequent effects of the destruction on jobs and incomes across the tea sector in the two counties and nationally, noting that one of the multinational firms affected has publicly announced that it will be shutting down and laying off 16,000 employees. And finally, Madam Speaker, state the measures put in place by the government to restore investor confidence following the attacks and to assure them of their personal and commercial safety. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next statement is by Senator Murango is not here. Your Senator Wahome, you have his brief? Okay, proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm holding brief for the Senator for Kirinyaga, and I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment, and Natural Resources regarding the supply of clean piped water to the residents and of the settlement villages in Moya constituency, Kirinyaga County, for domestic use. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state if there are plans by the Ministry of Water, Sanitation, and Irrigation to provide clean piped water to residents of the settlements villages in Moya constituency for domestic use, particularly the residents of Goka, Dorome, Kiura, Shiangani, and Madhanguta villages who currently draw water from the irrigation canals, which exposes them to diseases. And 2, provide the timelines set by the government for such plans and indicate whether it will be implemented within the financial year 2023-2024. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Then we have a statement by Senator for Taita Taveta County, Senator Jonas Mwarumu.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to request for this statement. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the public service workforce and the state of the wage bill of the county government of Taita Taveta. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of employees, both partisan and non-partisan, the terms of employment, and the total wage bill accrued by the county government of Taita Taveta, stating compliance to the 35% limit set in statute. 2, state whether a capacity assessment and rationalization of public service exercise has been conducted, stating its impact on the wage bill and service delivery. 3, clarify whether the current recruitment process aligns with the county's obligation to manage its wage bill, tabling a needs assessment report for the county's staffing requirements. 4, confirm whether all personnel hired between July 2020 and May 2023 were employed following the county human resource management policy and manual, stating compliance to the ceilings set by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, and 5, state plans, if any, to employ village administrators and the potential impact on the wage bill and service delivery. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Next order.
Order number 12, the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 11 of 2022, resumption of debate.
Debate is now open on this motion. On this bill, the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 11 of 2022. There being no one wishing to contribute on this issue, on this bill, I will defer for the mover, for the putting of the question, to give the mover time to come and respond to the bill. Next order.
Order number 13, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bills number 16 of 2023. Second reading.
On this one, I would wish to defer it to be listed again in the order paper tomorrow, when debate resumes, when Senate resumes in the afternoon at 2:30. So the clerk, please note that direction on that. Next order.
Order number 14, the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2023, second reading.
In line with the directions that were earlier on issued by the chair, and based on the decision and resolution of the SBC, the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of 2023, will go back to be queued, so we'll take it out of order paper for today, and it will be queued back for the second reading. Yes. Point of order.
Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 41 on the quorum during proceedings of the Senate, in order that the business on the order paper does not suffer the sort of consequences that were discussed at the SPC, to notify the chair that we do not have quorum to continue with this particular sitting.
At times, I confirm there is no quorum. Sergeant at times, could you ring the bell for 10 minutes? Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 41, there being no quorum, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 7th June 2023 at 2:30 p.m.